point out, are very concerned about that and siphoning off votes, because if you really break it down, despite the fact that Kamala Harris had quite a turnout at her announcement, it was in her hometown, and there are a lot of people, the Democrat field for 2020 could be every bit as populated as the Republicans were in 2016. If that is in fact the case, Howard Schultz, and being a dark horse, well, he might not be as much of a dark horse as some would be led to believe. So we are going to continue to monitor these two stories. If you're listening to us later in the day on the Heart of America podcast, which can be found on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, you name it, it's everywhere. Of course, on Periscope and Twitter and YouTube. Obviously, you cannot call the program. But if you happen to be listening in to us live via the heartofamerica.net website, the numbers for you are 929-477-3761, 929-477-3761, if you want to chime in and leave your comments or share your ideas for all posterity, because once these programs are archived, they are, well, out there forever and for the entire world to enjoy. And, well, always remember that you're leaving evidence. Yeah, evidence of your political viewpoints. The prospect, by the way, of an independent run by Schultz, who described himself as a lifelong Democrat and has given, and this is another thing that is very significant, who has given hundreds of thousands of dollars to Democrat campaigns over the years, has caused consternation among the party's establishment, who fear he would siphon off votes from whoever the Democrats nominate to challenge Trump. But not only are we talking about siphoning of votes, we are also talking about the loss of those campaign contributions, not to mention the endorsement. And on top of that, you have to remember here that although all of them certainly could not be counted on to go this direction, Starbucks has 350,000 employees, also including their vendors. So imagine for one moment that he is able to compel half of those people not only to vote for him, but in addition to that, not make any campaign contributions to the Democrats. Now, I feel quite certain that the baristas of the world are not throwing a lot of money at the Democrat campaigns, but certainly the executives within Starbucks would be compelled to do that. It's also interesting to note, I do not remember how many total outlets he said that he had in America, but he has 30,000 worldwide. I would have to believe that at least half of those are in the United States of America, which means that this particular guy has, for all intent and purposes, 15,000 campaign satellite offices. That's not to say that Starbucks are going to be emblazoned with Howard Schultz campaign posters, but they would be a constant and stark reminder of his candidacy every day, and does give him a built-in outlet. Imagine for one moment, whoever goes to a Starbucks on any given day, having the conversations with the other people at the Starbucks, which are like-minded. If Starbucks has 350,000 employees, how many customers do they have? Easily into the millions. Easily. I've never been to a Starbucks where I didn't have to stand in line. So again, the Democrats have themselves one heck of a problem if this guy decides to greenlight this campaign. Now, with all the debate about the shutdown and some new information that has surfaced in the last few days as well regarding Nancy Pelosi, the Mexican government, former President Nieto, and just a weird optic. We'll get to that on the other side in this an abbreviated edition of the Michael Hart Show right here on the Heart of America Talk Radio Network. Going to take a couple minutes just to give me an opportunity to caffeine up. Y'all stick around. We're coming right back on the other side. Hart of America and the Michael Hart Show is brought to you in part by the Unknown America Project. Unknown America, Myths and Little-Known Oddities about the greatest nation on earth explores many of the falsehoods and fallacies and revisions in American history that impact the beliefs and the thoughts of many people in this country today. So if you'd like to learn some of the most enduring myths that have been perpetrated on the American public for the last 100-plus years in this country, go check out the book at heartofamerica.net. That's heartofamerica.net. And pick up a copy of Unknown America. It comes out to you absolutely no shipping, be autographed, and we'll even send you a copy of the United States Constitution as our way of saying thanks. So support the Unknown America Project by simply going to theunknownamerica.com, and thank you for your support.
It's Andrew McLean here to remind you about my podcast, Over the Line. This is the podcast your mom warned you about, even though your mom doesn't really know what a podcast is. You really need to check it out. We have some great guests, amazing interviews, and we break down the political headlines of the day. If you want to be able to stay informed, entertained, and be able to win an argument on Facebook against those commie hippies, check out OverTheLineShow.com to listen to the latest show, check out some amazing merch, and see what's going on behind the scenes. Over the Line is also available on your favorite podcast platform, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and plenty more to make it as easy to listen to the show as possible. Again, make sure you go to OverTheLineShow.com, sign up for the newsletter, and keep up with the show, whatever we do, wherever we go, and keep yourself informed. That's OverTheLineShow.com in memory of Harambe.
Welcome back. Yeah, you heard a little bit of a promo for our good friend Andrew McLean. Andrew and I have worked together over the years, and he does a great show, and just goes to show you that, we're all about supporting one another and getting the word out. This is somewhat of the Church of the Painful Truth, so when you're not listening to this program, check Andrew's program out as well. He does a really good job and brings a perspective that a lot of other folks are not aware of, because we want you guys to share as much of this message as we can. And just think, for all intent and purposes, he's the competition. If we're willing to go that far to support the competition, how far are you willing to go to support us? Go over to heartofamerica.net, check out the Patreon link, and for just a smidgen, as little as $6 a month, you can actually become a patron of the program, help us grow the program, and if you are a business owner, as little as $79 a month, we'll put your spots on this program, which is being heard nationwide and across the entire universe. Well, that's kind of extreme. But either way, support the program so that we can continue to spread the message of what's really going on in this country. For example, about 2 weeks ago, there was the court case involving El Chapo, the drug kingpin. It was reported during said trial that El Chapo had actually bribed former President Nieto of Mexico about $100 million. Now, there's been a lot of speculation that the $100 million was designed so that Nieto would fight to keep the border open. Well, that's a little eccentric. It would have been basically to turn the other eye, although there would have been an expectation, at least, that Nieto would have fought back against tighter border security. Now, you think about a couple things here. In discussing how many or how much drugs comes across the border, this man's got $100 million to spare for a bribe. Then a picture surfaced from 2016 of former President Nieto in the company of Nancy Pelosi. Now, this was at a meeting. In the background of said picture is senatorial hopeful and vanquished candidate Beto O'Rourke. Now, this is 2016. Remember that O'Rourke ran in part on an open borders platform. So here you have this president that we know now had received some form of a bribe in the presence of the two people, arguably the two people, that have been the most outspoken about not building the wall and leaving the borders open. Now, am I going to draw a conclusion from that? Nope. But I believe that the inference is there. Walks like a duck, quacks like a duck. So here you have this president that has gotten into bed with a drug cartel in the presence of politicians that have the most ability to help him protect his own interest. I'm just going to let that float out there for a while. Maybe people will pick up on the and read between the lines. Am I suggesting that we have politicians in this country that are potentially on the take? I'm not going to come out and say that, no. But it is definitely highly suspicious. And I have been quite vocal over the years about it not being left versus right, but us versus them. We are just going to have to come to the mutual conclusion that Donald Trump, for all of his shortcomings and his foibles, is a threat to that status quo. Is he pristine? Not by even a chance. And I've stated before, he's a better Democrat than the Democrats. But we're talking some real deep state stuff here, gang. In 2016, O'Rourke wasn't even a gleam in the eyes of the Democrat Party. So what's he doing with the Speaker of the House in Mexico with the former, now we know, bribed president? Just something to consider. 929-477-3761 for those of you that want a piece of this action. And let's get out there. We've already got Clark calling in, so let's get to him. Good morning, Clark. How are you?
Hey, I'm great, Michael. You're doing good?
I'm just fantastic.
So I got to figure out how to get a hold of Andrew's show. Is there a certain time on that, or is he just streaming whenever and you pick it up when you pick it up?
You're going to have to go to overtheline.com and find out. I know he did some stuff on Facebook. He did some stuff on YouTube as well. He's actually been doing it for a while now, but I'm not certain what time he's actually, decided to stand on, and whether or not it's purely a podcast. I do know he's doing it live. I'm just not 100% certain what time it is. So go check out overtheline.com for all the info.
I'll check that out. So can we go to the Roger Stone arrest for a minute?
Sure.
Okay. I have seen some articles that compare this with something the Gestapo or the KGB or maybe even the Castro regime would have done. And, any of those groups would have come and taken someone in the middle of the night and done it in a similar fashion, but they would not have had CNN there.
No, that's exactly right.
Now, I don't know if they understood that the optic would be bad. They did not want to upset or cause a backlash any more than they had to, or if our deep state has just gotten so brazen that they don't care and they figure they can use that optic to help convict this man. I'm not
well,
sure, but I go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, before we go any further with this, I think it's important for people to understand that typically when you have some kind of an indictment, which is going to be handed down, the status quo would have been to inform your indictee and his attorney and have the attorney bring him in for questioning. But as you point out, and by the way, when we raided bin Laden's compound, we had 12 Special Forces personnel to go in a heavily fortified compound. In the case of Roger Stone, it was 29, including SWAT team members. And as you point out, CNN was informed of the raid, which took place in the wee hours of the morning. And Roger Stone has a deaf wife that would not even have known what was going on. So you've got the FBI, SWAT teams, 29 total, and other authorities there as well, with the news camera to go after a man who was accused of not remembering whether or not he emailed or called Jerome Corsi. I hope people understand what I've just said to them, because you're right. It was Gestapo tactics over something. And by the way, you know, Stone is being called up as having lied under oath. But what he supposedly lied about was whether or not he emailed or called Jerome Corsi, and this was an attempt by Stone to get to Julian Assange, but he couldn't recall how he contacted Corsi. It was turned out that the way he said he did was not the way that he did, and that's the extent of the crime, at least as far as this particular arrest is concerned. I think people need to be up to speed on that, Clark, and understand how severe what you and I are discussing truly is. Go ahead.
Well, exactly. You know, what was the Cardinal's name that said, give me 6 sentences from an innocent man and I'll find something to hang him with? You know, that's what they've done here. And I don't know. It bothers me that we have gotten to the point where they feel comfortable having CNN show up. Probably we didn't learn anything from Waco, huh? Because, you know, that was all about some optics. You know, that was all about having some optics. Maybe they shouldn't have tipped them off they were coming and provoked a gunfight on that one. But it just, I don't know. Just fascinates me that they felt comfortable having CNN come film this so they could have the optic. Not, I don't know. It's different, Michael.
No, I mean, you know, but the point's valid, Clark. I mean, you know, CNN could only have been there had CNN been tipped off. This wasn't like somebody sitting around and listening to a police scanner to find out where the ambulance is going. You had an excessive use of... Go ahead, I'm sorry.
The guy lives in New York or D.C., one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
It was like he was out just riding around and happened to have a hunch, I ought to set up right here.
Right.
You know, there was a whole lot of coordination that went into it, and this, you know, what did he say, reporter's instinct?
Yeah.
Please.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, did you ever see the movie, it went right on my head, Die Hard?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, it's kind of like the scene towards the end where the reporter, you know, basically, you know, bribes people or makes things up, or what. The point is, he, you know, puts people in jeopardy to get the story. And, you know, there's some kind of aspect to that here, but I think it really was leaked to them for the purposes of the optic. And your comparison to Waco, I mean, how many people do you think remember that when we were in the standoff with the Branch Davidians, there were more media trucks outside that campaign than there are drunks at a brewery? I mean, they lined the streets.
Well, and you know, the problem is I'm quite sure that very few people remember Waco. And unfortunately, Michael, when it was going on, very few people understood why it was happening.
Right.
You know, Waco, the Senate investigation into Ruby Ridge was about to happen. And ATF needed something good. so they could go into the hearings on the Ruby Ridge thing with a little bit of positive spin on the ATF. And so they did the Waco deal, thinking that, you know, they'd go in there, they'd have a little bit of a gunfight, they'd take this thing down, and they'd save the children, et cetera, instead of, I think they immolated 21 children. Wasn't a very good outcome for them there, very ill-considered, the whole thing, and they had people inside the deal that said, don't do this. He goes and he fills up the green station wagon at the Shell station every Tuesday. Arrest him there. No, we don't get good optics from that. We're going to take down the compound. And, obviously having CNN there, they wanted this optic. And all I can figure is we go in with 29 FBI agents in, what did Allison Camerata say they had on? They had on flap jackets. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they were wearing tactical gear.
Well, they were wearing flak jackets, but Allison called them flap jackets.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was kind of funny. Not too technical.
That's her malapropping as well.
Yeah. But, they wanted the optic here so they could show what a bad, guilty, dangerous man he was. And I don't know. It just gets scarier as it keeps going. The lengths that they will go to and the things that they will do. Because I got to think the whole deal was we want the jury pool well-informed before we ever have a trial here.
Well, somebody made the observation a couple of days ago that what happened with the arrest of Stone might have been, for whatever the reason, to taint the jury pool. And so there's a lot of optics here that they're able to play off of. It's also interesting to note that there were certain things within Stone's testimony that were not accurate, but that Mueller did not use as justification to arrest him. There was also things that they justified arresting him on, whether or not Stone could remember contacting Jerome Corsi by phone or by email, which was very similar to the testimony of James Comey. So Comey is allowed to walk on the very same charges, so to speak, or the accusations that bring down Roger Stone, who is a longtime Trump associate. And then again, in the wee hours of the morning, with an army of SWAT team members and the press available. The whole thing, the optic of it for anybody with an IQ above that of a coffee mug, it's unbelievably obvious that it was, in fact, a witch hunt.
Oh, yeah. And we keep talking about the two-tiered justice system, and that just more and more evident all the time, and how anybody doesn't understand that fascinates me.
I hear you. I definitely hear you. Well, very good topic there, Clark, and I appreciate you bringing it up, because I just don't think people really understand that we are moving more and more every single day to a more military state, and the things are going to get much more complicated if we don't get a handle on this very soon. And that's, quite frankly, what scares the living heck out of the Democrats.
Well, it ought to scare anybody that is not part of the deep state right now.
No, you're exactly right. You are exactly right.
Well, keep doing what you do, and I'll keep listening.
Thanks, Clark. I appreciate it so very much.
You're welcome. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye. 929-477-3761. How many people are aware? Because it didn't get reported. Now it's made a few opinion pieces. You got an old man and his hearing-impaired wife. The man's passport has been reportedly expired. He's not a flight risk. The crime that he is accused of is misreporting a question that he might have had no recollection of. And now all of a sudden, you got a takedown of another Trump associate. And people put, well, you see, that's the way those Trump people are. Can't trust any of them. They're all a bunch of crooks. Got to keep an eye on them. Folks, this man is under attack for the simple fact that he is making some real big inroads, and everybody is jumping on board. A new book that's come out by someone that I know and someone that Andrew knows and someone that everybody in this particular market knows. Cliff Sims has written a book. He was on the staff of the White House. Did the old Yellowhammer radio program that went to work for the White House. Is thought to be the primary leaker on Trump. Now he's making the media circus. I understand that he's on some national press today. And much of what this particular previous Trump staffer, who I guess is privately never Trumper, apparently levels some accusations that are not truthful. I have heard from operatives, people that I know that are in the know, that this is about to get ugly. Everybody's capitalizing on taking down the Trump. Write that book, get that optic, make your wild-ass accusations, because there's either a profit motive in it or a power motive in it. And for those of us that do this every day of the week, we eat it, we breathe it, we live it. Now, you can get all your news that you want from Yahoo or Facebook or Snapchat. But as I've told you, I do not know how many times you are being lied to. The reason that Trump is on the receiving end of so much guff is the fact that he scares the living heck out of these people. And the few Republicans out there that are no longer siding with Trump are in much the same bathtub. I have friends, acquaintances, contacts, insiders that are telling us the real things that are going on, and I'm reporting them to you to the point that I can justify them legally. You can believe it or not, gang. But personally, I've been doing this for over a decade. A lot of the people that you see in the news, like Corsi, I have interviewed time and again. I have their contact information. I know their staff people in many cases. I know staffers that work for congressmen and senators, as do many of my conservative talk brethren. What we're telling you is the truth. Donald Trump is not a racist. He's not a misogynist. I know no fewer than a half a dozen people that either have or are currently working with the White House. And every single optic that we are given is falsified. And I will tell you, because I talk about this all the time, which is why we're available to come out and speak to your group. Anywhere within a 2-hour drive of Birmingham, Alabama, I'll come out and tell your group what's really going on in the world, because the problems are the media. That's what the Unknown America Project is all about. No, I don't think they're all in bed together, because they're not that smart. They think they are, but they're not. And many of them are just stupid enough to keep recycling this same nonsense. Story that came out a couple of days ago. I'm not going to get into it, other than to tell you about old Joe Scarborough and Mika talking about taxes and the poor peoples and immigrations and helping people out with their insurance and whatnot. But yet he is clandestinely broadcasting from his estate in Florida, Why? Because he has a home in Florida, and there are no state income taxes in Florida, but he has to be in Florida at least 180 days a year to qualify for the residency status. So when you're seeing him tuned in on MSNBC, they ain't there. It's a backdrop in Jupiter, not the planet, the city. They'll get on the air and they'll bloviate about this position or that position, and then they'll exploit the very system that they denigrate. All throughout history, I've given you story after story after story in Unknown America about how the media got the story wrong. Some of them are funny. Others are harmless. But the point is, I do not for the life of me understand how we have gotten into a place in this nation where because somebody is on TV or radio, that all of a sudden everything they have to say has value, or they should be taken at face value. And then there's always that argument, well, Hart, you're in the press, you're on the air, why should we listen to you? Then don't. Verify it for yourself. Do your own homework. I've either earned your respect or I haven't. Those that have been listening to me for any length of time, see, I have a track record. I have a track record of getting it right. And that's why a lot of people do trust me and do depend on me. But if you're new to the program, don't. Challenge me. Heck, for that matter, call the program and challenge me. The point is that the media is a for-profit industry. They don't have your best interest at heart. It's all about the drama. It's all about the optic. And they do it time and time and time again, which is why you didn't really hear about the relationship between Pelosi and Nieto. You got poor old Roger Stone getting pulled out in his onesie in the middle of the night while his deaf wife looks on, wondering what in the world's going on. And people trying to sell you on the notion that Donald Trump needs to go because he's a racist and a misogynist and a xenophobe. And then there's the whole aspect, and this occurred this morning when I was doing a local radio hit on another station, where there's the whole idea from Maxine Waters and Ed Green and so many other people about, well, we're going to impeach Donald Trump. Impeach, impeach, impeach. And they're all running around screaming, impeach, impeach, impeach. But they can do that. You know why? Impeach the guy. If there's a majority of Republicans in the Senate, he doesn't get ousted. Bill Clinton was impeached. Andrew Johnson was impeached. They can scream this at the top of their lungs because they know he's not going to be removed from office. But then again, there's that optic. And then it gives the MSNBCs of the world the opportunity to sing the praises of Maxine or Green or Harris or Booker, knowing full well that an impeachment is going nowhere. But then again, it's that old, just lie to me. Tell me what I want to hear. Just lie to me. Give me free education and health care. I don't want to work if it's free. Really? What have you ever gotten that was free? What promises that have been made to you that benefit you personally have you ever received? Since leaving a terrestrial signal and moving over to the internet, you know, that radio station made a change, forced a lot of people out. Well, guess what I lost? I lost my health insurance. I bought it back on my own dime, but it forced me to get a policy that was marketplace compliant. Had I known then what I know now, because I am mired down in this bureaucracy, I would have been even more outrageously loud about the evils of Obamacare, because I'm living it. Because again, you can keep your doctor, because we don't give a damn about whether or not we lie to you. 929-477-3761. Put your big boy panties on. Pull up your big girl panties. Grow a pair and let the truth Like Junior said in the movie Platoon, free your mind and your ass will follow. Stop being a dumbass. And I'm sorry to be so articulated. But stop being stupid, because fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son. And intelligence is sexy. Yeah, we got an immigration problem in this country. We got an opioid problem in this country. We got an abortion problem in this country. But the biggest problem that we've got in this country, we got a dumbass problem in this country. Hello, Tolly. How are you?
You know, Michael, I try to keep my mouth shut lately here, just like to do the show, but sometimes I get motivated to call in and espouse some political views. I want to be honest, I'm not a huge Roger Stone fan. I've watched the documentary on him. He seems proud of how grimy he is, how crummy he is.
I'm not a Roger Stone fan. You know, there's a lot of people within the Trump universe that I'm highly suspicious of, but then again, there's just as many on the right. Or the left, pardon me.
Exactly, but he is an American citizen. He has protected the rights that our founding fathers fought and died for. And the type raid on his house, the sensationalistic military-style raid and search of his house, are the type of raids going on throughout America every single day. There are 124, on average, military-style SWAT invasions of homes. There are 45,000 SWAT military-style invasions of homes every year, where officers walk into homes or either battering ram to get into homes, or in worst cases, they drive a tank up to the door and push in a wall. And I've seen that happen. I've seen them get the wrong house. I've seen them drive a tank through a front end of the house to go after a drug suspect, and they got the wrong house. This is America. The policing should be the kind where you can knock up to the door and say, it's the police, please come out. You don't need to be battering rammed the front door of your house. You don't need Roger Stone having officers carrying MP5s with a setting set to single fire or burst or full auto walking in their house. If his wife is deaf, she's at a much higher risk of being killed because she can't hear them yell police. She's going to see these guys dressed in black like military soldiers carrying big guns. What if she was carrying a pistol on her purse? What if she pulled out a pistol and pointed at him because she couldn't hear them yell police? And they usually do it in the way, it's like, please start toward, and they run in the door at 4 a.m. It's America. What the FBI, we don't need an FBI. What the FBI is doing is tyranny. It's against the right to keep from barricading troops in your home. It's against the principles our founders fought and died for. Roger Stone may be a scumbag, but what the FBI did, police forces across America do every day, over 100 times. We don't need a federal police force. We don't have that many federal laws that need violent police action. We can tie states together without using an FBI. We don't need the FBI spying in the computers and activating your webcam remotely like we know they can do from the Edward Snowden leaks, turning on your webcam and watching you in your bedroom. That goes against your Fourth Amendment rights. What happened to Roger Stone could happen to anyone, but more importantly, it does happen to people. It happens disproportionately to people of color. It happens disproportionately to people of poverty. And it happens to a lot of people who are taking drugs where the punishment far outweighs the crime. They're nonviolent drug offenders having their homes raided. Only 7% of SWAT raids are for the purpose they were originally created for by Daryl Gates in Los Angeles, which was barricaded suspects or hostage situations. In a crisis situation with a gun held to a hostage's head, or where you have a suspect saying, I'm in this hole and I'm not coming out, you have to come get me, SWAT is fine. That's an appropriate use of police force. But for the other 93% of the time they use it against nonviolent drug offenders or against Roger Stone over white-collar lies, that's tyranny. It's the kind of tyranny that our founders rose up and fought and killed their government over. Police officers should be oath keepers, not oath breakers. If the government keeps going down that path, they'll find themselves facing the Second Amendment. You don't need police officers walking into a home carrying machine guns to go search a guy who may have lied over whether he got a phone call or an email. You don't need police officers breaking down doors and crashing down windows and throwing flash grenades into cribs and burning holes over babies. Remember that story from years ago? It still happens.
I do.
That stuff still goes on. It's a tyranny situation, the kind of things that make people want to rise up and fight against their government, not support it.
Tolly, very good call. Obviously in earnest and very passionate, and I have nothing to say in opposition to it. He dropped off. A lot of people don't realize this because, again, most people don't read. They don't immerse themselves in stories and the truth and the past. How many people do you think there are out there that understand that the United States Department of Education has an armed division? I'm not Alex Jonesing you. I'm not kidding. This is my job. Yeah. Little Animal House reference for the younger set. Some years ago, there was a story where a young man, I don't remember if he was killed or not, but his house was stormed by the United States Department of Education because his girlfriend had used his address to obtain loans that she defaulted on. Stormed. Do you remember 6 or 7 years ago when it was uncovered? And I want to say it was by the Congressional Budget Office that the United States Department of Education had purchased, I want to say it was like a dozen or a dozen and a half assault shotguns. Yeah, good stuff, right? But you just keep believing all those stories about what's going on the border. You just keep going out there and believing that Bernie Sanders is going to give you all kinds of goodies. Remember all the things Barack Obama promised that never came to pass? By the way, he didn't promise an insurance marketplace. He promised single payer. Remember that? Hello? Who? All the talk about Donald Trump and deportations, and yet Barack Obama was the deporter-in-chief. Remember? No, you probably don't, because too many people don't pay attention. Because we're just a bunch of old, red hat-wearing, cracker racists. They have been selling that narrative and selling that narrative. You know what else is kind of interesting is how the narrative of the degradation and how disgusting white America is a similar strategy that somebody in Germany used back in the 1930s to portray a certain class of people a certain way. Oh, but don't look at your history book. Read a stat yesterday. Over 30% of the American population doesn't believe the Holocaust ever occurred. Yeah. It touched my family, so stick it. But it's amazing. It is absolutely amazing how willing people are to be lied to be misguided, misdirected, so quick to believe what they read on Snapchat or YouTube or wherever. Do your own due diligence. Do your own reading. Spend a day in my world. Those that forget the past are condemned to repeat it. Shotguns. So you got Howard Schultz seriously mulling a presidential run, the former CEO of Starbucks, that could completely dismantle any Democrat's hopes of gaining the Oval Office. Doing it as an independent. Something similar to what happened when Woodrow Wilson was elected. Something that happened with Ross Perot. History just goes around and around and around in a big circle. And like has happened in this country for the last 200 years, The media is all too willing to tell you exactly the opposite of what you think you know. And they are the real, in my opinion, real enemy in this country today. Don't believe anything you hear, but only half of what you see. Trust and verify. Don't even take my word for it. Draw your own conclusions, but draw them on the facts and not on the Facebook. With that said, please consider supporting this program by going over to Hart, H-A-R-T, heartofamerica.net. Click on the Patreon link. You can donate to us as little as $1 a month, and it does help. It really does. A lot of people are donating offline. That's also cool. If you're more interested in doing that, you can drop me an email, Michael at heartofamerica.net. If you do it over on Patreon, for $6, we'll even give you a copy of Unknown America. We are shipping more of them out today. I know a lot of you have done that. Some of you ordered over at theunknownamerica.com. The books are going out. We've, again, been overwhelmed. Can't keep them in stock. So we are continuing to get that all worked out for you. But if you are wanting to support the message of this program and get the truth out, if the truth's important to you, I guess the question is it worth $6 to you? And you can cancel at any time. So please at least consider that. In the meantime, do your own due diligence. Don't get it off Facebook. Pay attention to the world around you. We're going to get out of here. A little shorter program today. I appreciate all the help. We appreciate the folks over at Liberty One Tech, the Unknown America Project, as well as our good folks over at Alabama Water Management and the Land Report as well. You've been listening to Michael Hart Show right here on the Heart of America Talk Radio Network. Back with you live tomorrow at 8.